Does anyone know the melody of this song?
Yes. Wait, hold up. What's this?
It's called Pocket Bells Candy. There it is.
Here. Nice hype opera, right?
The melody. Someone tell me something about the pitches in the melody. Yeah, kind of, Bobby?
It starts high and then goes low and then builds back up.
Okay, so that's the contour. Starts high and goes low. Now, were any of those notes you weren't expecting? Did it go No. And if it did, do you think that would have been as recognizable or as catchy? Probably not, right? So, with the melodies that we have, you have to keep in mind what's going to sound good. So in this next snippet, there is a part of the lesson that I may change if I were to teach it again. It was a decision that I wasn't quite sure of when I made it, but I went with it anyways, and that was to hint at what the students would be doing the next day in the next portion of the lesson. The reason I was not sure about doing it is we kind of took a informal learning approach to this lesson, and by giving the kids very flexible guidelines that could be bent and not really giving them any information about tonality or harmonic melodic structure, allowing them to fiddle with the keyboard and to come up with something by themselves and develop a sense of oral judgment and active listening skills. I think by giving them the topic and the assignment like I did here may compromise that and take some of the spontaneity out of it and therefore limit the creativity of it. However, the reason I did decide to do it is because without this mention of a holistic overall assignment, what we were doing in this class could eventually be seen as trite or a waste of time because there was no application of it besides, all right, this is pretty cool. I can think about this stuff when I'm listening to my iPod. Well, we'll give you your assignment in a little bit, but when you're going to be composing melodies for your beat projects.
Can I get some fireflies?
I'll tell you what, we can listen right after we're done with all this, okay? So when we're playing on the MIDI keyboards, it's not you probably won't get your melody in the first shot, and that's okay. But you got to play, and you have to listen to it and really see if it fits into your beat, pitches and the rhythm. And also, the pitches were all over the place. There wasn't a lot of massive jumps. There is that one, da-da-da-da-da-da, but it's not bum 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 bum. That's another era of music that we don't necessarily like to listen to. So we can call that the range of pitches. Well, all this stuff. Yes, it creates a catchy melody. How does it do it? Looking for one-word answer. Starts with an A. We've said it twice already. It builds up.
Oh, I think I heard it over here.
Who said that? Anticipation. There you go. And it does that by toying with what we're expecting to hear. At all of these songs, Fireflies, Delilah, I Wish It Would Rain, My Girl, Paralyzer, Replay, all the way up down to Pocket Bells Cannon, all do that. And the key to this is they don't do it so drastically that it's not recognizable anymore, right? Like in Pocket Bells Cannon, we talked that there wasn't too many really weird pitches that didn't seem to fit. So that's what we're looking for. We're going to have this for you up while we're doing it so you can glance back and look at it. Now, you're either going to get really mad at us or you're going to be really pumped.
You say homework.
No, not homework.
Yes, no.
Not yet. Basically, everything we just told you is extremely important. Also, in this assignment, only matters about this much. You're going to be composing your melodies onto your beats. We're going to give you a keyboard and we're going to let you have free reign.
Woo!
Listen.
The beat as in like the drum?
Yeah. Yes. So here are some strategies. They can be a little bit formidable when you just have a keyboard in front of you and we say, do it. I know when my teachers do that back at Westminster, I freak out a little bit. So we thought of some ways to help you out with that. One, do exactly what we just did here. Think of songs you like, think of songs that you remember, and ask yourself, what about the melody do you like the most or do you find memorable? Another option, and this is the one I take, is just sit there and listen to your beat a couple times. And while you're listening, forget a little bit about all these rules a little bit, and just hum something along, and find something you like, and then toy with it for a while. And eventually, you'll probably come up with something. 2 rules. 1, you have to be honest with yourself. If it truly doesn't sound good, let yourself know that. Don't be hard on yourself, but if it sounds great, good. If you think, okay, this part sounds good, but this part's really not matching up with my beat, that's good, and then you can fix it. Second rule, don't be afraid of anything. There's no wrong answer. There are more correct answers and less correct answers, but there's no wrong answer. All right? And we'll have this up for you as well.
The following day was spent in the music technology room as we monitored the students' progress with their creation of melodies. Initially, some of the students had problems trying to come up with the melody, but once they downloaded the ning.com files of the compositional strategies, this seemed to solve the problem. While the students were creating their works, we tried to really support and push the rules that we had created as a class to, 1, be honest with themselves while they were making their melody, and to 2, to try to not be afraid while they were composing, and to remember that really there were no rules. With the addition of the compositional strategies and elements of a catchy melody that we had created readily at hand and visible to the students, this helped alleviate their initial problems of where do I begin, or I think this sounds good, does it? And asking us for our opinions. While we were monitoring the students, anytime I listened to one of the students' melodies while they were formulating them, the first question was, what do you think about it? What do you like about it? And then I would offer a suggestion or two, like perhaps, I especially like this portion of your melody. I love the offbeat. I love the interplay. Perhaps in this next segment, you could do something more with that, or make it match up with the beat a little bit more to play with expectations. Overall, the products that the class came up with were great. They ranged very widely. Some students had very simple, almost motivic gestures that they considered melodies, while others had very vast, amoebus, very 21st century, space age kind of melodies that were more reminiscent of someone like Bjork or David Bowie. And still others had almost Dance Dance Revolution type, very clear-cut melodies that were very distinguishable from their loops. Overall, I think we met our 4 objectives for the lesson. After the lesson, the students were asked to blog about their experience on the Ning page, and we got pretty resounding proof of our of the effectiveness of our lesson. There were several quotes from the Ning page that said things like, I never realized how difficult it was to compose a melody with a predetermined beat, or there was one student who said, I will now listen to my iPod with new respect to the artists who are performing, regardless of genre, which I thought was fit our critical objective to a T. The beats, there's 2 samples I have embedded on this page with permission from the student, which I think are excellent examples of what the students were capable of doing and what they strive to do. And overall, I think this lesson was a good success, and I think that the students' musicianship and understanding of themselves as active music listeners was transformed.